you in this caste, or you're in this economic strata. But here in America, to a remarkable degree, and we kind of know this to be true, we are the architects of our own destiny. And so when you say to your kids, you know, young Billy, young Jane, what do you want to be when you grow up? You can advise them as parents, but you know that ultimately it is they and not you who will supply the answer to that question. So this to me is the great idea of America. I'll call it the idea of the self-directed life. It's really why young people all over the world love America, because America represents a place where you get to be in the driver's seat of your own future. This is American exceptionalism. And on the other hand, we have Obama with another kind of a dream. Weirdly, this is a dream that kind of comes from abroad. I mean, anti-colonialism is a third world philosophy. But remember, anti-colonialism came to America in the anti-war, anti-Vietnam movement. In the film, we have these 5 founding fathers, radical, in one case a communist, in one case a domestic terrorist, the guys who shaped Obama's mind. Well, he met every single one of those guys right here in the United States. In Hawaii, in Columbia, Harvard Law School, of course, Jeremiah Wright and Bill Ayers both in Chicago. So this is a homegrown kind of Obama radicalism. I just want to say a few words about the anti-colonial philosophy that go beyond what I say in the film. The core idea of anti-colonialism is the idea that wealth is obtained not by effort, not by initiative, not by entrepreneurship, not by innovation, not by hard work, but by theft, by stealing. Now, in some senses, this may seem a little bit crazy, but if you grew up in a certain generation, in a certain part of the world, I think here not just of Barack Obama Sr., but my own dad, growing up in India in the 40s and the 50s, you know, if you looked around the world, you'd see a puzzle. You'd see that there were some countries that were doing really well. Paris, center of culture. London, very prosperous. And then you say, but Jakarta, very poor. Nairobi, very poor. Mumbai, very poor. And intelligent people began to say, well, why? And the answer to that question at that time appeared obvious. That the Western countries went abroad, conquered all these countries, looted their raw materials, so the rich countries became rich by stealing from the poor countries. And this implanted the idea that wealth is the result of piracy, of looting, of stealing. And this notion then carries over to even how individual wealth is created. I mean, look at the article I mentioned in the film where Barack Obama Sr. talks about, quote, tax rates of up to 100%. Now, again, if you enroll in economics class, I mean, even on a liberal campus, they'll tell you that tax rates of 100% make no economic sense. In fact, for the government to tax you at 100%, the government will get exactly as much revenue as if the government were to tax you at 0%. Why? Because if you have a 0% tax rate, how much money does the government take in? 0. No taxes. But it is equally true that if the government taxes you at 100%, it takes in nothing because no one works. You have no incentive to. The government's going to take it all. So, from an economic point of view, this makes 0 sense. So, why would Obama Sr., Harvard-trained economist, propose it? This is where I think in understanding Obama, it really helps to put on the anti-colonial spectacles. Because when you put in the anti-colonial spectacles and you introduce the idea that wealth is the result of theft, then you can understand that a 100% tax rate is what's really needed. If Scott were to come to my house and steal all my furniture, what's the proper tax rate for him? 100%. Why? Because it's not his furniture. Now we fast forward to a few months ago, President Obama talking to a bunch of business guys. You didn't build that. Well, what does that really mean? Well, Obama said what it meant, but Obama's explanation made no sense. Obama said, it really means that you don't deserve the credit for your business because after all, you went to the public schools, you drove on the public roads. Now, let's think about that for a moment. Conversation between me and my daughter. Daniel, you don't deserve your high scores on the SAT because you drove to the test using the public roads. I mean, this would be crazy. Obama, you didn't even get yourself elected because after all, how did you get to your campaign rallies except on the public roads?
That's right.
So, on the face of it, this argument doesn't carry any weight. So what is Obama really saying? I think here's what he's really saying. Society creates wealth. Then greedy entrepreneurs swoop in and grab it. But it's not theirs. They're stealing it. The government has every right to confiscate it, to seize it. And the government isn't taking your stuff, because you've got to remember it's not your stuff in the first place. This is a way in which Obama is different than traditional Democrats. He's got this idea that wealth is the result of theft. What Obama's really good at, and now in campaign mode, this is what we're hearing from him, he can frame his arguments in mainstream liberal language. So, when Obama blocks oil drilling, moratorium, delay the Keystone Pipeline, put large areas off limits for development, even if you're allowed to drill, there are so many permits and regulations that you can't actually drill. And people say, well, okay, well, Obama is an environmentalist. He's doing his best Al Gore imitation. And you remember Al Gore, right? The earth has a fever. You know, global warming. Well, Obama's not Al Gore. Because if you watch Obama abroad at other countries, he's a veritable champion of oil drilling. He's for it. And as you know, I mentioned this in the film, he's given money through the Export-Import Bank to Mexico, to Brazil, to Colombia to drill for oil. By the way, after the film comes out, you know, the Obama people ignore it at first, hoping it will kind of go away. But as the snowball begins to get more snow, they're like, okay, well, we have to now deal with it. So Obama comes out swinging on his website, you know, barackobama.com. And it was kind of interesting. I mean, you have Obama, the president, attacking me by name, which I love.
He knows it. He knows it.
I imagine myself 10 years old in a small house in Bombay going up to my mom and saying, Mom, one day I will be attacked by name by the President of the United States. I think I would have gotten 2 aspirin and be sent off to bed. But you know, so Obama comes out and he goes, no, Dinesh, I did not, in fact, personally approve oil drilling and give money to Brazil. Well, at the first line, it's okay, it wasn't you, it's your federal agency that's doing it, with policies, you know, set by your administration. But wait a minute, in 2011, Obama went to Brazil, and he said, we're giving you money to drill for oil, and now I quote him, and when you're ready to sell, we want to stand in line and be one of your best customers, end quote. Okay, it's our money, which you're using to drill, and we want to be in line to buy from you. And this is Obama's own mouth. So what's going on here? This has nothing to do with environmentalism. I don't think that Obama knows or cares if the earth is getting hotter or colder. Obama is a global energy redistributor. What he wants to do is make sure that at a time of economic growth, when developing countries do need more energy, and there is a limited amount of it in the world, we need to have less so those guys can have more. So Obama's not just a domestic redistributor. That's why he's not really a liberal. In America, being a liberal means redistributing domestically. And if you want to redistribute more, you're a bigger liberal. But Obama wants to recycle money globally. He wants America, the whole country is the 1%. And the rest of the world is the 99%, from Obama's point of view. Now, I've said a couple of things on domestic policy. I do want to make a point about foreign policy because it ties right in. It's all part of the same story. And if you look at what's happening in the Middle East now, this isn't just about, you know, camouflaging Benghazi, an ambassador dead. It's all that. But the biggest story of what's going on here, I believe, is that just as Obama is redistributing wealth away from America, he wants to redistribute power away from America. He's a global power redistributor. And what is he trying to do? He's trying to bring back the world before colonialism. If you lived in the year 1450, and you looked around the world, you would see many great civilizations. The greatest of which was probably China, and then the Arab Islamic world, and then India, and then there were the civilizations of the Americas, the Aztecs, the Incas, earlier the Mayas, in Africa too, and then Europe. So Europe was just one of many civilizations. Now Obama knows he can't bring the Aztecs back. But what does he want to do? Obama wants a world in which Russia, China, India, Brazil, Europe, all share power with America. He wants to knock us off our pedestal so that we're no longer the world's number one. And again, this is so different. I mean, if you went to Bill Clinton and said, don't you think America should be number one in the world? He'd look as if you were nuts. Of course he would. Of course he wants America to be number one. But not Obama. So again, and if you look at what's happening in the Middle East, what is Obama doing? He's basically undermining our allies and leaving our adversaries in power. This seems like a shocking statement because we elect the president to protect and defend and advance the interests of the United States. And Obama is actually doing the opposite.